to bring you your fix of everything related to the Montreal Canadiens. Two men who could seriously use an intervention. Your source of Habs talk, right from the rock. Right from the rock.
Hello, Canada, hockey fans, United States, and Newfoundland.
Hockey Junkie and GK.
Look who's back. Welcome to Season 3, episode number 1 of the Fix podcast. Man, Gary, let me tell you something, man. It's been a long time, buddy. What's been going on?
It's been a long time. Absolutely. It's a lot after happening, buddy. A lot after happening. It's a whole new year.
Even your background looks a lot better. Looks a lot better than mine, man. You're up in your game. Your game's going up. You're trying. That's where he's been. He's been putting up that post.
It only had one way to go.
Yeah, there's only one way to, just like Josh Anderson's season coming up, right? There's only one way.
Exactly. Like Josh Anderson's prospects for this year, it can only go up.
You gotta love it, man. Actually, met up with Gary today, bought a few bars, and this is how it came about. Yeah, Gary's selling bars.
Good old minor hockey fundraising. Gotta love it, man.
It's good stuff, man.
It's what makes the world go round.
Oh, it is, yeah. So, man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, we're going to double back later on, but let's stick with the prison stuff right away.
Absolutely.
3 preseason games. First off, ain't it good to be seeing some hockey again, man? I don't know about you, but my life was incomplete. It's almost like going months without chicken. You can't do it. It's a bad idea.
Months without chicken.
It is, man. Hockey's like chicken, right? You got to have it.
Absolutely.
Now we finally got it back.
How we do. And like this offseason was weird because it started out with a bang, with some contracts and all that kind of stuff with Caulfield's or Slafkovsky signing and all that stuff kind of came together. And then there was this lull, and then it was the draft, and then it was that. And then obviously the next news was the Patrik Laine thing, which we'll get into. So I mean, it's just been, even though so much happened, it still seemed like it took forever to get to hockey season again, man. And now we're here, and we're only, week and a little bit away from puck dropping some meaningful hockey games. So it's exciting.
Off to a pretty good start, too, man.
Absolutely.
Big win against Philadelphia. Big win against New Jersey. I mean, yeah, maybe their teams were kind of, you know what I mean. But still,
Absolutely.
they did pretty good. They showed up 2 of these games, 2 completely different lineups, 2 of the nights, and they did good. Team A, Team B did good. But what did we see during that Leafs game? What was that, like Team N,
F.
L?
Team
yeah,
F.
it was pretty bad, wasn't it, man? It was different.
Wow.
I remember I was at work that day, and I was thinking while I was at work, Habs and Leafs tonight, and guaranteed Doc is going to be playing. Guaranteed Laine is going to be back in action. And you sent me that text message, man, showing me the lineup, and it was just crushing news.
I saw it in a tweet. I don't know. I think it might have been Eric Engels had the tweet up, and I was just like, no, there's no way that's the lineup they're going to put on the ice against the Leafs. And then I was like, it is. And then I assume they're saving the bigger guns for home ice. They want to give some of those guys another look before they started to wind down the roster. But my God, against the Leafs of all teams, it was just like, come on.
That's the one you want to win. That's the game you want to win, man.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to lose that game.
Yeah, and then and then they did. But I mean, if you compare the 2 rosters on paper, it should have been a blowout. And Montreal hung in there, man, for the whole time. It was they were with them right till the end. They didn't play a great game, but Dabish played well, and some of the defensemen showed flashes. There was there's some growing pains on the back end too, but I think that's going to be as long as you got rookies on your blue line, there's going to be growing pains, and if you're going to have them, the preseason is the time. So there's some flashes there, and by and large, like I said, the preseason has been a success so far.
Yeah, it's got to happen, right? Like, what was it? Arbor Jack, I was the oldest guy in the lineup last night on the blue line, like
on the blue line, yeah,
which is played 100 games. Yeah, that's nuts,
right? I mean, if we look at the blue line that they did have there last night, I mean, Lane Hutson, he played a relatively good game. He was a bit quieter from the back end, but I mean, you can only drive offense so far from the back end. You know, if the forward group is not going to kind of pull their weight. You see there on the power play at one point, he kept dropping the puck back, and we were talking about that last night. We're like, if you got Lane Hutson there, he should be the one that's receiving that drop pass, not the guy that's giving the drop pass. You know what I mean? He should be the guy that's trying to carry that puck over the blue line. And he dropped it back 3 times maybe in the second power play. And then the fourth time, he's just like, fuck this, man. I'm not dropping this back anymore. And he just took it and he went on with it himself. And they finally gained his own and they finally generated a little bit of offense. So, that was obviously a silver lining for Montreal in that last game against Toronto. I thought Jack played a nice, solid, well-rounded game too. We didn't make many mistakes. Instrom looked good until he didn't. That play that gave up on the Robinson goal was a bit, it was a rookie mistake by a rookie. What can you expect?
This one right here. Or wait.
Can you show it?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's the one. I don't know. Did it play? There we go.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, he just yoinked him.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he yoinked him. Not bad, though. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's an under 11 play right there.
Yeah.
The old pickpocket coming in zone.
Yeah, the old thievery. But, I mean, we kind of owed it to Robertson anyway after what happened. You said you wanted to touch base on that too, right? Because I watched that play with Nylander, and I thought, like, I don't know, it just looked funny to me. Like, he had at least that stick was in the ass, man. I'm sure
it was right in there. Yeah,
it was. I
texted you at the time. I was like, to me, I think he dives. I think he feels the tug, and I think he hits the ice. And then obviously he didn't mean to crash into whoever's knee that was. But just look, I mean, he drops like he's shot.
Yeah, as soon as he felt the touch, right?
As soon as he feels the touch, he dies. He hits the ice. So
look at his leg.
He's like full on in the air. I mean, Robinson didn't poke him that hard.
I know, I did. Into Vorak.
Oh, right into the knee. It's got shades of John Tavares and Corey Perry.
I hope he's all right, but it just looked funny though. It looked kind of stupid though.
It's hilarious.
There's no doubt.
Oh, I mean, just the scenario there. But I think like Kyprios in the he's so irritating, man.
He was weird last night, man.
Oh, he was weird. It's like he just can't give anybody any due at all, especially if they're wearing a Montreal Canadiens jersey. But like he was appalled with Nick Robinson. Couldn't believe that a rookie or a young guy would have the gall to push a guy up the ice. I'm just thinking, man, he touched him and he went down like he was shot. I really genuinely think that Nylander was looking to get a call and didn't realize it was his own player trying to impale him.
Yeah, and he did look like he got impaled for sure. He went down. I think he was at practice today, or somebody told me he was at practice today, but Tavares was missing or something.
Tavares was, he was sore or something like that because Pez gave him a little bit of a shot there too.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, he went full torpedo into him. Yeah, that was great.
It was a rough night for the Leafs.
It was, yeah. They were, didn't and Tuck hit him too. Alex Tuck just backed over him, man. Backed the dump truck right up over him. Boom.
Yeah, Tuck's a big boy. Hey, he plays the game with some edge. Yeah. He's trying to let everyone know kind of he's here to play and he's here to. I don't think he's got any delusions he's going to be on this roster this year, but he's planting seeds for the type of game he wants to play in the NHL. And I think you'll see him play that in the AHL this season and play it well and be a big physical force playing in the middle part of their lineup. And you could picture that on this roster in maybe another year or two, him and maybe a little Florian Jack on that fourth line, and with a lot of oomph,
Yeah, the Val's going to have a good team this season.
Absolutely. And
but out of all the forwards right now, right over the last few games that we've seen during the preseason, is there any of them like that stick out to you? And it's just like, like maybe they got a shot at maybe taking Christian Dvorak's job or taking Jake Evans' job. I know it's going to be a tough challenge because like Christian Dvorak's in the last season or the last year of his contract, right? So obviously they're going to want to get some value out of him. I don't know if it's going to force Kent to trade him right now or what the case may be, but is there anybody there that you could see like maybe takes it?
I think if all things were equal, I think you're looking at Oliver Kapanen has been playing. He's been playing a really solid, responsible two-way game, showing flashes of offensive creativity. He had 2 points in the game, the first game that he played, and earned those 2 points. And on a third line with not really a lot of firepower behind him. I don't want to take away from is it Boulay was playing with him and Heineman, I think that was his line in the game that he played, that first game that he played. You know, and so I'm saying that he didn't have a lot to work with, but he still managed to generate. And I think that if all things were equal, he could give Christian Dvorak a run for that spot. But I think, as you kind of alluded to, and we'll talk to it some more, there's a lot of factors that come into play with that position. One being Christian Dvorak's final year of his contract, the fact that you don't want to just give him up for nothing at all. If there's a chance at all that you can generate some kind of revenue behind him or some return for him. And then the other thing that kind of makes the decision with Kapanen a little bit harder is that you don't have the option to send him to the AHL. He's either got to play in the NHL this season or he's got to go back to Europe to play. So the AHL is not an option for him. So really it is all or nothing for Oliver Kapanen. And I feel like they'll probably, the way it is right now and the situation with Dvorak, even though, like I said, I do think he would be the guy for me to take that position, I think they'll end up sending them back and just letting him marinate another year in Europe, let him grow his game, let him continue to do good and you know, and have another year of professional hockey in a higher league than what he played in last year. And then bring him back over next year and go from there. So, you know, if it was Stanley Cup aspirations this year for the Montreal Canadiens, I think, you know, you forget all that stuff and you just put your best 12 forwards on there. But I think at this point, they're still in a roster construction phase in this, you know, they're still rebuilding, even though it's hopefully getting closer to the end. And little decisions like that and gaining little assets, you know, 5 years from now, that might be that asset we get back for Christian Dvorak might be the one we use in a big trade or the one that kind of turns into another Lane Hutson. I mean, Lane Hutson, we got him for Brett Kulak as a throw-in, right? That's the pick that got us Lane Hutson when we traded away Brett Kulak. So, you know, who to say that the pick we get for Christian Dvorak doesn't turn into something like that? So you need to be wary, and nothing's worth, you know, there's no worthless assets in the NHL if you play your cards right. What's your thoughts on it?
The way I've been seeing it so far is like Oliver Kapanen is definitely leading the way up front. Like there's no doubt about it. I feel like he's outplayed Beck. You know, not taking anything away from Beck, but I feel like Kapanen's ahead of the game. He's like a large fries, Beck's like a medium fries, and Mijar's like in the kids' meal kind of thing going on right now.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like Mijar's showing some flash, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is.
To me, like Mijar, Riley Kidney, Owen Beck.
I didn't even notice Kidney. Didn't even notice.
Sean Farrell. They're all like, you know, they're all playing like players who need to play a couple more years in the AHL. Maybe for Beck, not so much a couple more years. Maybe that might be a stretch for him because I think he's got a really nice, responsible game. And I don't think he's been put in a really good position to show his offensive prowess, even in the game that he played center in, I think the second game against New Jersey. Again, not surrounded by a bunch of offensive players or anything like that. So, you know, not to write him off, but the other two guys in Kidney and Farrell, you know, I don't think showed overly a whole lot. Heineman has been generating a little bit of offense. He's been kind of putting himself in some areas, getting some offensive chances. He hasn't really, he might have buried one, but like, you know, not kind of seizing every opportunity he's getting, but he is generating, which is good to see for a guy like, you know, in his situation. Again, I think he'll go back to Laval, and I don't think that'll hurt him at all, but I think he'll be an option to come up when the inevitable happens, when there are a few injuries to the Montreal Canadiens. I think he's going to be a guy that comes up. And if he gets an offensive opportunity, I think he could take advantage of it. So, yeah, he'd be my next guy to kind of, I don't know if he'll make the roster, but a guy who could squeak in and you know, throughout the season and earn himself a job and stick around for a while.
Yeah. But the biggest surprise overall, you got to admit, I mean, everybody's going to say it has been Lane Hutson. Lane Hutson's been incredible, man. Like, unbelievable. I thought he was going to come in, you know, show a little bit of confidence, show some swagger, but man, he's gone above and beyond the expectations. Not only is he better than all the other kids, like all the other guys that are trying to get into the lineup, he's better than the guys that are already there, man. Like he's above and beyond everyone. Like you can tell watching some players, like yeah, they're good players. And then you could tell watching some players, it's like, holy shit, like that kid's that's different. Like, and he's got that
Absolutely.
elite talent, man. It's
No, he
nuts.
really
Nuts.
does. And like you said, I mean, I think before the preseason started, even before before the rookie tournament started, we kind of chatted about it, and for me, it was, I think he's going to be good enough to make the roster, but I don't know if he's going to be good enough to force their hand that he has to make it right at the hop, like that he wouldn't maybe go to the Val, play a few games. That wouldn't have been surprising to me. Once he started playing in the rookie showcase or in that little kind of back and forth they had with the Leafs rookies, that got less likely. And after seeing him play in 2 games in preseason, it looks, I'd be shocked. To me, you're looking at it's an 80-20 that he plays since their season in the NHL. I'd be really surprised unless Kent Hughes is cooking something that we don't know about for a couple of guys on the back end. I'd be shocked if Lane Hutson doesn't start the season in the NHL. It's like you said, he's been the most exciting player in training camp so far it's not even close, really.
Does he give you Subban vibes? Like just a little bit, man. I know Subban had the big shot, bigger frame, like he could hit and bring excitement in different ways. And I don't like comparing two players, especially in this case, but when they got the puck on the stick, like I feel like it's the same, like everybody's on the edge of their seat, like just waiting to see what's going to happen next kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that electric vibe, is that sense of anticipation that he definitely brings to the game. And I mean, we haven't had a defenseman with that kind of offensive creativity since Subban. Like I said, he doesn't have the bone. He's not going to flatten Marchand to make you jump out of your seat in that way. He's not going to give you that memory, but he could probably,
turn him into a rat.
Yeah, exactly. And make him look like a fool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
real wizard.
So like the comparison is definitely warranted with regard to stylistic offensive for sure play. But he's got a good shot. He's shifting the offensive zone. You see that saucer pass that he made in the rookie game.
Oh,
the Heineman,
man.
like you're talking about like a 50-foot pass that went 15 feet in the air and landed right on the tape for a breakaway. You don't see that very often from anybody, however many years he's been playing in the league, let alone a rookie. So I mean, he's got something special. And again, his defensive game is not perfect all the time either. I think a couple times in the games that he played, you see there's a little bit of hesitation sometimes. It takes him an extra couple seconds to get out of offense mode, and he hesitates, and sometimes he gets behind when he should immediately kind of turn and start to back out of the zone. Sometimes he takes that second to say, is there an offensive play here? And then it doesn't materialize and he's a bit behind the 8 ball. So you do see that sometimes, but I mean, he hasn't played a legit NHL game yet, so
no,
I wouldn't be worried about that. And it's preseason on top of that. So you're seeing that with 15-year veterans as well, kind of trying to find their timing and stuff like that. So his game is not perfect, but Montreal doesn't need him to be perfect this season. Like that's the beauty of it. We're still not in make the playoffs, win every game or die mode. There is some room for wiggle. There's some room for growth and some room for even in our NHL club to allow these guys to develop. And I think that's what you'll see this year with Lane Hutson. Sheltered minutes in the NHL, power play time. And I think he's going to be exciting. I think he's going to stay there from day one.
Do you know what? Do you know who I like him with? David Savard, Chewbacca.
Yeah. And that looks like where he's going. It is.
Yeah, he's steady.
Of all the guys there on the back end, steady, reliable. He's not going to take any chances himself. I feel like even like just sitting next to that guy on the bench, having like after your shifts are over and coming in and sit next to Savard on the bench, there's value to that. Having those conversations about, this is how this play went, this is how that play went. I think Savard can be an excellent mentor to him in that regard. So yeah, I agree 100%. You even see last night they tried him on his off wing with Jack-Eye. Like they put him and Jack-Eye together and moved Hutson over to the right side for the second half of that game last night. So I mean, they're obviously very interested to see what this kid can do in all settings, which is to me an indication that they want him to stick around. And for me, if you look at the lineup, he fits, right. I think he fits on that left side. So hopefully it continues to go the way it's going right now. Him, Jack-Eye, and Matheson on the left side. And then, I mean, Caden Gouli's absence in training camp really is the biggest question mark, is who temporary fills in for him.
Jeez, I don't know what I just did, man. Like, I'm still new to this program. All of a sudden, I just disappeared off the screen.
I know. Yeah, I tried to talk
mute
through
it. I tried to mute because like I had the cough. I got like this cold thing going on for the last 4 weeks for some reason, and so I hit the mute button, and I also like took myself out for some reason. That was weird.
You muted your camera too.
Yeah, I was scrambling trying to get back in.
I was just trying to fill the air.
Oh, you played it good, man. You played it good. Speaking of playing it good, there we go. Segues again.
Beautiful.
Kirby Dach is back. He's in one piece. Like, I can't believe it. Holy shit, man. I've seen it. Patrik Laine is with him on the line. Yeah. Patrik Laine is back with him. We finally got our first glimpse of Patrik Laine, and he seems to be excited to play in Montreal. And like,
he does.
When he first got that first puck touch, man, when the puck was on a stick at the very beginning, the fans just went nuts. Hey, did you hear that? And he took it, and he carried it a little bit. Like, he must have just, if that doesn't get you back into the game, like hearing the fans like
it's got to be a feeling, man, unreal.
Oh, man, he must be just tickled right now. Tickled.
Yeah.
We're talking about him on the Fix podcast. Like, holy shit. Shit's getting real for Patrik Laine. It is, man.
Well, you look at Montreal's top six, and we said we're going to kind of double back to the offseason and stuff like that, but you look at Montreal's top six going into this offseason versus going in. Well, I won't say going into last offseason because Kirby Dach was on our radar to start last season. It just didn't last very long. But say game 5 last year versus game 1 this year, and that top six is completely rebuilt and looks completely different. And I mean, much more. If everything works out, if Dach can stay healthy, if Laine can get back to, I'd say even 75% of what he can be for this season, it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Then that top six compared to last year's top six is chalk and cheese, man. It's completely revitalized, legitimate second line in the NHL. Whereas before we were, you weren't generating beans from our bottom 9 last year. I mean, I think every now and then, I think Basu or maybe it's Brian Wald puts up like a stat where it's like we had the worst production from the bottom half of our lineup or bottom 2/3 or 3/4 of our lineup last year than any other team in the league.
There was no second line.
Nobody generated. No. It's this first line and defense generated all the offense production last year for Montreal. So, I mean, right now going into the regular season, it's just the potential to have this kind of firepower hasn't been in this lineup in a long, long time. So it's going to be interesting to see if it all clicks, even if 60% of it clicks, it's going to be a real interesting offseason, a really, real interesting season for Montreal and their fans.
If Patrik Laine scores 30 goals this season, that's 30 additional goals from the season before. Like, so that's an extra bonus right there. If Kirby Dach plays 82 games, let's say he scores 18. That's another 18 goals. If Cole Caulfield all of a sudden scores, above 30, I mean, I still can't believe he didn't hit 30 points last season or 30 goals last season. Career high in points. He was wicked, but like we're still expecting to see more goals from Cole Caulfield. That's safe bet, right?
Well, Caulfield started super slow last year. In the second half, he caught on fire and he coasted to the end. But yeah,
same with Caulfield.
Yeah, same. So if Slavkovsky can play, pick up where he left off, if Caulfield can maybe add a little bit of element of consistency to his game, if Dach comes in and looks as good as he looked to start last season, and when you talk about point totals, if Patrik Laine puts up 30 goals, then Kirby Dach's point totals are just they're going to go through the roof. I mean, those two go hand in hand. So, they're two big boys. I mean, the biggest question there, and right now there looks like there's an answer to it, but who knows, is who plays on that other wing. Right now it's Alex Newhook's position, and I'm okay with that. He played well last year. He was our second line center last year. He's a bit streaky, but he's fast. He can go in and get the puck. So I don't have any issue with Alex Newhook there. The other option, we talked about this in our last podcast, was, I wouldn't mind Joshua Waugh having a little bit of a whiff there either.
No. Also, super hot take, man. I'm talking like boiling wiener liquor hot take. Short-haired Pizzetta, man. Short-haired Pizzitta just came onto the scene out of nowhere, and he's completely different. I heard Lou
He should get a haircut
Lamoriello
for
throw his
every
eyes
game.
on him. He should. They should just shave him. Be like David Savard's beard. I heard he just grows that right before the game. You can just watch
He
it
probably
grow.
does. Just shave one strip of Pizzitta's hair at a time.
Yeah, man. Like, stick him on the second line and just see what happens. I don't know. Okay, that was a bit of a hot take.
Wiener licking, yeah. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
something,
wiener,
that's for sure.
Wiener liquor, man. Boiling hot wiener liquor. Oh, you like boiled hot dogs, Gary?
Well, I'll let them cool down first.
Oh,
There's
man.
something wrong with you. I'm here for
I know. I'll be okay.
The other thing too with Montreal, if you look at their lineup right now, is that not only does the top half of that lineup look much better, and it does. There's no doubt about it. You talked about in our last podcast. I was actually, before we came out here today, I went back and just kind of looked through some stuff, and we're talking about the top 6 and what it was going to look like. And we both had Waugh kind of penciled in on that line, but Patrik Laine wasn't in the picture at the time. But you kept saying, when I build the top 6, there's a hole. There's something missing.
Yeah,
you know
man.
what I mean? There was something missing from the top 6. Like, you go to put top 6 in the end, you're a player short. You were always a player short. Well, Patrik Laine is that player now.
He is.
He was the answer to our question. And we even talked about trading Harris and when they were going to do it and stuff like that. Now, we didn't mention the two together, but we did mention both of those things and whether or not there was such urgency and said that they weren't done yet. So, you know, when you look at it now, that top 6 looks more like a top 6, but it also allows the bottom 6 to, you know, not punch so high above their pay grade right now. So if you got a line there, like your second or third line of, Waugh, Dvorak, Anderson, if Anderson has even a fraction of a bounce back season, that's an okay third line. You know what I mean? If Brendan Gallagher and Yoel Armia can continue kind of to play decent hockey, like they were playing towards the middle and end of last season. I mean, Yoel Armia, when he came back from Laval, would play fantastic. He's looked fantastic in preseason as well. You know, he's looked great in the preseason. Every game he plays, defensively, killing penalties. You know, we don't need Yoel Armia to score 30 goals. We just need him not to be a black. Yeah, exactly. We just need him not to be a black hole on the ice. Like before he went down to Laval last year, he was a black hole. The puck hit his stick, and it was almost going in the opposite direction all of a sudden. It was just, there was nothing going. But second half of the season, Mario Armia came up, and he was a revelation, man. And if he keeps playing that way, like that's a solid bottom 6 piece. Josh Anderson, very solid bottom 6 piece if he can play even a fraction of where you expect him to play. Brendan Gallagher's, season, well, pretty much all last season. I'm not going to say he didn't get back to his 30-goal form, but he was playing good hockey. He was staying healthy. He was being tenacious on the puck, and he was generating some offense. So, like, if they're playing in your bottom 6 and still manage to play their roles that way, and the guys in that top 6 contribute like you expect them to, that's a very potent lineup the Montreal Canadiens have there right now. Plus, if you look at Lane Hutson, Mike Matheson, Caden Gooley, Savard on your back end, Jack Guy, and somebody else, who knows at this point. It's a lineup with a lot of potential. A lot has to go right, but a lot could go right and wouldn't surprise anyone. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens as the season progresses.
All right, Gary. Lloyd Christmas. I want the truth, man.
Bring it.
Is there a chance the Canadiens could make the playoffs this season? Is there a chance? Come on.
I mean, there is a chance. There is a chance.
Mary Swanson or whatever her name is. Samsonite. I can be Lloyd.
There is something wrong with you. You know that. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. That's what I'm getting.
I mean, I do. I do think there's a chance. There's two things that kind of need to happen for Montreal to have a chance of making the playoffs this year. The first thing is that all the maybes that we talked about, they got to hit. Maybe not all of them, but to me, Laine and Doc have to hit. Like, they have to work, they have to find chemistry. If not with each other, then with someone in that top 6, because it's not locked in stone that that's going to be the lines for the entirety of the season. Some things can change. So at least that piece has to click. The top 6 has to click some way or another. And then our defense has to take a step forward, and we have to get NHL caliber goaltending. Not all-star goaltending necessarily, but just NHL average, maybe slightly above average goaltending. So like 910 to 915 save percentage from our goalie tandem. Those 3 things happen, which are possible.
It is, yeah.
And the other thing, the other component is outside of Montreal. Last year you saw a lot of teams stumble in the Eastern Conference who weren't expected to stumble. A lot of young teams who people were expecting to take a step who didn't take that step. New Jersey fell off a little bit. They didn't get any goaltending whatsoever and didn't perform well, which I think Senators. They should have. The Ottawa, exactly. The Ottawa Senators are a better team than they showed last year. Now they got a goaltender as well. Both of those teams went from basement NHL goaltending to top 10 in the league goaltending, in my opinion, in the moves they made in the offseason. So do those moves significantly move those teams forward and change the landscape in the Eastern Conference? There's a Detroit, again, everyone kind of, maybe not everyone, but I expected them to take a bit more of a step last year. They didn't. Buffalo has been supposed to be taking a step for the last 4 seasons and haven't. Do they take that step forward? So, and then the rest of it is, does Boston keep rolling? Do they keep defying the odds and keep playing like amazing hockey and finding ways to win as they lose players and as players kind of age out of their roster? Do they keep, does the Swayman being out of the lineup to start the season, does that affect them? And do they finally start to regress? Does Tampa regress some more? The moves at least made in the offseason, is their goaltending better or not? Does Matthews being the captain completely put them into a tailspin because he's a douchebag with a bad mustache, or does it click for them?
That was a weird situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of... Go ahead.
We got to talk about that a little bit. We can't just let that slide. So let me get this straight. John Tavares was the captain since he came in. They had the picture of him in Leafs pajamas, the whole 9 yards. And
Cinderella story.
Yeah, and then they just acted like he wanted to give up. No, I don't care what anyone says. Nobody wants to give up their captaincy. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't either.
Would you? You think about it. You're a veteran
Absolutely
on a
not.
team. You've been a captain for a few years, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't believe it. That's bullshit.
Oh, 100%.
I'm calling it.
100%. I think Matthews is, I don't know. Like, I have an underlying dislike for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's
Of
not,
course.
it just is what it is.
You're
I'm
only
not
human.
unbiased, I'm just not. But to me, like, if there's a cultural issue within that team, stripping John Tavares of the captaincy and giving it to Austin Matthews, that ain't the answer to your cultural issues.
No, man.
No. I'm not in the dressing room. I don't know, but to me, but that's a gamble. That's a gamble to me. So we'll see how it all plays out, and I hope it plays out poorly.
Yeah, me too. I hope she just nosedives this season, man. That'd be beautiful, eh?
I hope it's more like Nylander and Matthews just bitching at each other on the bench.
That'd be wicked. I enjoyed that, man.
Yeah, me too.
That was one of my favorite arguments I've ever seen in my life.
That was great.
It's right up there. Just one at McDonald's one time too was pretty good, but that one was good. I enjoyed it.
So I don't know. Like, to me, yeah, I think that was, I don't know. I don't ever like that. Like, say, if a guy gets traded or he retires, he gives up the C. You saw it in LA with Dustin Brown and Kopitar. Like, I don't know. It didn't really click there either. Like, it took them a couple years, I think, to really recover from that. Now, not that was the only reason, but their roster was in transition. But, it wasn't a solution there. And it just makes it awkward. Like, it's awkward enough in Toronto. There's enough stress. There's enough pressure. Now it's just another thing, another storyline for people to talk about. So, I don't know. It's interesting for sure. So, yeah.
Speaking of freaky storylines, though, I got one more I want to talk about. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Gary, is now he's moved again, man. He's all over the place. He's like that guy that just won't pay rent, and he's getting kicked out.
Where is he now?
He's in Washington. I know. I actually think about it too. Yeah, he's in Washington. That's crazy.
Hey, and like
pretty soon
I
he's going to be here selling bars too.
Yeah, he's gonna be like trying out for to be the next mascot or something.
Yeah, man, U11 or I don't know. I could see some crazy shit happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good gamble for Washington. I mean, Washington needs something like that. Do I think it's going to work out? No, I don't.
It never works out.
Yeah, right. So, but I mean, they didn't give up hardly anything for him, did they? Like,
No,
I
they
don't think they gave up
bag
a
of
whole lot.
shit. Bag of shit, and you can have him. They said.
So
Pretty
it's
much.
I mean, the contract they signed him to, and he puts in one bad year, and it's just like, sorry, experiment over. You're done. We're just wiping our hands of this, man. The assets they gave up to bring that guy in.
Yeah, but something must have happened, though. Something must have happened again.
God.
Like,
well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
he must shit in the urinal or something, eh?
He's doing something.
He's shitting in the urinal.
He's sleeping with someone's wife or mom or somebody. I don't know.
That's
what
Corey
it is.
Perry. Now you got him mixed up with Perry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's shitting.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, did we obviously dodged a bullet, like a massive bullet?
Man, did we ever? Yeah, that could have been bad.
And I think that, I mean, at least not everyone. I mean, some people were on the I definitely don't want this guy train. I would give up a bag of pucks for this guy. And some guys were on the I will give up Nick Suzuki, and that was out there. Like, trade Nick Suzuki for him straight up. He's already a better player than Nick Suzuki is. Like, that was, you saw those comments a lot on Twitter. But for me, it was, if he wants to come to Montreal and he's not going anywhere else, and because of that, Winnipeg's hands are tied and we can get him for a song, I would have taken him.
I'm going to give a shout out to a guy, Center Heist. He comments on like every YouTube video that I put up. He's a good guy. He's got his own YouTube channel now too. Like, he talks about the Habs. It's actually enjoyable to listen to. Anyway, he right from the get-go, I made a Dubois video, and right away he came in and he was like, no, we can't do that. Like, that's a bad idea. And he just kept saying it and saying it. And after a while, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? Maybe this guy's onto something. He knows what he's talking about.
When you're right, you're right.
And he was right.
Oh, yeah.
And at first, I was open to the idea. I was like, man, like, Pierre-Luc Dubois is young. Like, he's from the Montreal. Like, he could come in there. This could be what he wants. He could come in there and, save face.
He wants to be here. It seemed like he wanted to be here.
It seemed like he wanted to, but man, am I ever glad they didn't take the risk. Holy shit.
You're not kidding, buddy. You're not kidding.
I
mean, it could have been devastating, especially if they had to give up anywhere near what LA gave up to get him. I mean, LA gave up, they gave up a lot to bring that guy in, thinking that he was going to, mesh well with Quentin Byfield and all that stuff. And the funny part is, I mean, LA had a good season last year, despite him playing playing absolute garbage. They still had a good season. Byfield did take a step, but it's despite Dubois being there, not because Dubois was there. So you think about like the guys that they gave up, had they still been present in that lineup, what kind of outcomes could they have had? There's a lot of what ifs there, man. So we dodged the bullet regardless.
Dodged the bullet for sure. Going back to the Habs too, one thing that I wanted to talk about, I know we're kind of all over the place right now, but I wanted to talk about David Reinhacher played against Toronto. He played 2 games now during the preseason, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Reinhacher? I want to see it rip the Band-Aids right off. Like, give me an honest opinion on David Reinhacher so far.
You know what? Like, I'm happy with the way David Reinhacher is playing, in that he's not trying to do too much. So a lot of kids in his position will be seeing what Lane Hutson is doing. They're a 5th overall pick. They're coming to camp. They would be really, I think, pushing it, really
That's the way I would be.
Plays. Yeah, really trying to pop. And to me, David Reinhacher is not trying to pop. I think he's playing a safe game. I think he's making good decisions with the puck. I think he's skating well, relatively speaking. I don't see him making any mistakes out there. I think he's playing, he's playing a very simple, rugged, stay-at-home game that is not going to, ingratiate him maybe to the fan base. But I think that he's playing well. I think he's playing a responsible NHL game. I don't think he'll start in the NHL. I think he'll continue to go back. He'll go down to the AHL and continue to grow his game. So I think that he's playing a mature game for the position that he's in. Would I like to see him wow? Of course, I would like to see him wow. I like to see him doing Lane Hutson things out there. I like to see him putting up some goals or wrecking some bodies because he was our 5th overall pick. But at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, he's playing good defensive hockey. He's not wowing everyone. You don't hear his name a whole lot. And as a defenseman, as a young defenseman especially, that's not a bad thing. I mean, everyone's talking about Adam Instrom today. It's not because he took a risk and it worked out. It's because he took a couple risks and it didn't. You know, so if you're not going to show up in a game, David Reinbacher's not showing up in the proper way. You know, still kind of hurts. But at the end of the day, I think he'll go down to Laval and hopefully he'll have a real good season. And maybe next year in camp, when he's worked on all those defensive things and that's part of his game he feels is solid, maybe he'll start to wow us then. Or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll just be good old wreck you and play solid defense and suffocate you, David Reinbacher. And maybe we'll learn to appreciate that moving forward, especially when we got Patrik Laine and Kirby Dach and Lane Hutson and Ivan Demidov popping the puck in the net and he's shutting people down. Maybe then we'll really appreciate what David Reinbacher brings to the table. So that's my thoughts. What's your thoughts on it?
I need to
be honest.
I need to see more, man. I need to see more Reinbacher. I don't know, like I haven't seen enough of him really to, you know, to pump his tires too much or deflate his tires too much. You know what I mean? Like you said though, he wasn't he didn't do what Adam Engstrom did last night. Adam Engstrom played some pretty good hockey.
He did play some pretty good hockey.
One play last night, Robertson just stole the puck, stole his wallet, stole his Haas candy, everything, and buried it. And he didn't get it back. It sucked for him, but I mean, it's all part of the learning experience. David Reinbacher, though, like I don't see him as an NHL player yet at all. Like I think he's got some marinating left to do. Maybe a full season in Laval, maybe even more than a full season. I don't know, but
maybe
we got to see though. Like, and I could be completely wrong. He could go down there and just, you know, tear the arse right out of Laval.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends on. You say like he's not an NHL defenseman right now, and to me, it depends on what you're expecting from the guy. You know what I mean? Like, if you want him to come up and help you generate a pile of offense, you know, I think since he's been there, you know, I think I think he's playing a responsible game. I think he's got a nice first pass. He's not wowing anybody, and I don't have any issue with him going down and playing another little while in Laval. I think if we were not very deep on our blue line and he came up and played NHL time, I think he'd mesh in the NHL, and I think he'd play a bottom pairing role and do it easily. I don't think he'd really miss a beat. I don't think he'd stand out in a negative way. But I don't necessarily think that he'd stand out in an overly positive way either. I think he would just fit. You know what I mean? And I think that he's got potential to do more than just fit. I think he's got potential to be a legit top pairing defenseman who can shut down teams, suffocate teams, and transition the puck up the ice with his pass, with his vision, with his skating. So, I think Laval is where he's going to end up, and I think it'll be good for him.
I just want him to be better than Jeff Petrie. That's all I want. That's not asking for much, man. I keep hearing people compare him to Jeff Petrie, and like, I don't know. It pisses me off. It irritates me when I hear that for some reason.
I mean, Jeff Petrie had a couple of real nice seasons in Montreal.
I won't talk about that shit here.
He was a bit soft.
We can't go there. We can't go there. No, I don't know, man. Petrie's under the bus, and he's been ran over like 45 times.
Petrie, you're bringing your Petrie Mouse voice here now.
I can't do it. I'm sick. If I wasn't sick, I'd do it. I'd pull it right away. But
listen,
Reinbacher, though, I'll give him this. He seems like he's a bit physical, though. Eh? Like he's not afraid to go into the corner and just staple someone. So right away, it's brownie points with me. See, my problem is like I can't go back on what I wanted. I wanted Michkov, and I can't go back on it. You know what I mean? Now, I'm happy with Demidov, though. Like that kind of softened the blow, I'll say. You know what I mean?
100%. Like bottom line is he's a 5th overall pick. And a 5th overall pick, you expect, a top of the lineup forward or top pairing defenseman if you're taking him. Like, that's the expectations there. You know what I mean? Right now, he's not a top pairing defenseman right now, but I think he could still take that box. I think it's, he's young and there's lots and lots of room for growth for him. So, like I said, the nice part about Montreal right now is that we don't need him right now.
No.
I'm happy to look at the blue line and for Lane Hutson to be the rookie in it this year, and for Goulet to grow, and for Savard to play out the rest of his contract, and for Masson to be whatever he's going to be and see what he does, and just let Reinhacher marinate some more. Like, to me, it's a good option.
It is, yeah. It is. I'm interested to see what the defenseman lines are going to look like at the start of the season.
Yeah,
because someone's going to have to sit out still. Like, there's still some trade speculation going on too, but I don't know.
Yeah,
a lot of pins, right? Caden Goulet's coming back. Right, Goulet should be back soon. That's going to change shit.
Absolutely. So, right now the season starts.
Yeah,
my pairings would be Mike Matheson is with Goulet. Goulet's playing on his offside, which he's played for the last year or so. Which, whether you like that or not, he does a good job on it, relatively speaking. I think you got Lane Hutson with David Savard. That's pairing number 2. And you got Arbor Drac guy with maybe Justin Barron. Maybe Logan Mailloux has a little look until Goulet's back. Or someone like that. Maybe Struble sneaks in there. To me, like, that third pairing right hand side is the biggest question mark. How about
and I feel the same way. I see the exact same pairings, but I see Justin Barron right now might have a little bit of an edge over Mailloux, and it's based off of just being able to send Mailloux down. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the only reason why. Like, like Mailloux's got to really elevate above Barron to actually get in there. And they might keep him up for a few games at the beginning. Who knows? But
I didn't mind Justin Barron's game. I thought you can see in Justin Barron's game right now, in the games that he's played, if you pay attention to him, is that he looks like he's worked a lot on playing below his own goal line. I think that's the big thing for Barron, is making decisions under pressure with his back to the play, going in and getting the puck and making the right decision under pressure. Historically, he hasn't been good at that. When you looked at him when I looked at him the last couple of games, you can see a player who has been thinking about his options. Like, you can see him think about his options as he goes and gets the puck. You can see him trying different things with the puck. So I've seen some improvement with him. I don't think he's always making the right decisions still. But he skates. Justin Barron's a beautiful skater. Once he gets the puck and he starts moving up the ice, he's got good vision. He can skate. He's not a small kid. He's over 6 feet tall. There's lots to like about Justin Barron's game. But that's the thing. In the defensive zone, sometimes he can get scrambly. He can make some bad decisions. He can cough the puck up. So I think that him playing there in the NHL for this season to start on the third pairing where he's a bit protected and lower, his minutes are a bit lower, and you got Jack High there to kind of play that rough and tumble game. I don't have any issue with that. And I think, Mailloux with the puck on his stick, going up the ice, I think is fantastic. And he's exciting to play. He's exciting to watch as well. I think he does still have, there's a lot of parts of his game I think he can work on that another year in the AHL won't hurt him. And again, we don't need him to be there right this year. A better version of Logan Mailloux next year, I think, would do Montreal more good, or even towards the end of the season if one of these guys moves on from the roster.
He's a bit of a shit disturber too, Mailloux, and I like that about his game too. I could see him, like, if he was paired up with Jack Eye, it'd be kind of funny because I could see him just running his mouth and Jack
like the Bash brothers.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Mailloux going all the time.
He does, yeah. He's just chirping nonstop. You got.
He's a big boy in his own right too. It's not like he's going to be hiding behind Jack Eye, but it doesn't hurt to have him there.
Oh yeah.
So there's lots of options.
You gotta love it.
And like I said, there's to me, there's a lot of talk about David Savard being the last year of his contract. Does he move on to deadline? Does he prove that he can be a mentor on the blue line, and a team with a young defense who's making a push for the playoffs, if we're not in a position to be that team, comes knocking, and would like to have David Savard on their blue line, he moves on, and then that opens up a spot for maybe Reinhacher, maybe Logan Mailloux, and they're right there in the AHL, so they can pop up and fill that role. So there's a lot depends on where Montreal is at as the season progresses, and then what they decide they're going to do with with the Christian Dvoraks and the David Savards and the Mike Mathesons and even the Josh Andersons and the Brendan Gallaghers in this lineup, the guys who are kind of aging out of the core. Do they keep them around like New York did with Chris Kreider, as the guard changes? Do you keep that older veteran presence and give them a role in the new organization and hope that it works out like it did for them? Or do you want to move on from those guys to make room for your Oliver Kapanens, to make room for your Owen Becks and your Sean Farrells and your young defensemen to come up, and your Ivan Demidov? So it's going to be interesting to see how Montreal and how Ken Hughes plays the closing chapter or closing chapters of the rebuild.
It is, man. We're in the last couple of years of the rebuild.
Absolutely.
And the decisions that got to be made now are crucial. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Like we talked about it before, like this is where a rebuild takes off and crystallizes into a cemented core that competes for a decade, or where a couple of round mistakes set you back and you got to reset things again. Right. So you say we're on the outer end of the rebuild, and that's true, but it could still go either way. There's a solid
look
foundation
at the
there.
Senators again. You know what I mean? Seemed like they were right at the end of it too, and look what happened. Boom.
Couple little mistakes, couple trades, maybe a little bit premature with some things. And some people might look at the Patrik Laine deal and say that's an example of a reach. If it doesn't work out,
if it
was that a
doesn't,
reach?
And it could be a home run.
And it could be exactly right. Like that could be the piece. And I think Laine's age changes a bit because he's only a year older than Nick Suzuki, so like he is older relatively speaking, but he fits with that core almost perfectly. So he's he's not a DeBrincat maybe, but still, like if it doesn't pan out, you look back and say, was that the deal? Was I don't know. Jordan Harris is the linchpin that would have saved us all either. But was that the first reach that Ken Hughes made that he shouldn't have made? So I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that it will, but I'm just saying, like those at this time, those little decisions that don't seem like a lot, they can snowball over time and change the course of this rebuild going forward.
Oh yeah, man. You better believe it. And Gary, season 3, episode 1, you know what we got to do, don't you? You know what's coming next? The beer bet of the week. We got to get one going. And there's a game tomorrow night against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The majority of viewers are probably going to be watching this on game day, so we should do something related to the game on who's going to win or on who's going to score. We don't even know who's in the lineup, so we can't really do that. It would be stupid.
Hey, I'm all about stupid. We can pick 2 people.
Too. Look at me.
I have been looking at you.
I know.
Shaking my head.
Oh, man.
Is there a projected lineup?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? All right. I think that the top 2 lines are going to play tomorrow.
That's not your beer bit, though, is it?
No, I'm just saying, like, if we go forward on the base that the top 2 lines are going to play tomorrow. All right, so the Suzuki line's going to play and the Doc line is going to play because they didn't play last night.
No.
All right. And so I'm going to bet you.
Yep.
I don't want to bet on the outcome of the game because then one of us has got to bet on the Leafs winning. And I don't like
I know.
That.
No,
that feels
that's
dirty.
not fair.
It feels wrong.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to bet you a dozen beer.
Woo-hoo. High stakes.
That Cole Caulfield and Patrik Laine score against the Leafs tomorrow night.
Oh, my God. How can I say no to that?
You can't.
Let's do it. I got a car. I'm already saying Lee right now. What if they're not playing?
If they're not playing, one of them's definitely going to play. So if they're both not playing, only one of them has to score, and I get a half case of beer. How about that?
Okay, sounds good. That's what we'll do. And just to let everybody know, we're going to try and get more consistent now. I mean, it's been a crazy off season, eh, Gary?
It has been.
You've been working lots. I've been working way more than I have last off season, so which is a good thing. But I mean, yeah, it's not a good thing at the same time. No, you're absolutely right. But we're going to try and get more consistent, and we're going to try and do weekly episodes again like we used to in the first couple of seasons. And so you can tune in every week and listen to our ongoing bullshit.
Maybe get a live stream going again. We had the live stream of the draft, which went really, really well.
That was wicked. Yeah. We might do some during some games, eh?
That'd be a good time. Yeah, we'll do that.
Let us know in the comment section what you want to see us do.
Absolutely, guys. And yeah, feel free to like and comment. You know, we always love having a conversation with whoever's listening out there. We love talking about hockey, you know, all the time if we can get away with it when we're not working our real jobs. So yeah, guys, if you like this, if you watch this and you liked it, you know, leave a message, hit like, hit subscribe. We love to hear from you. And from Hockey Junkie and GK,
we'll see you next time.